Nation.
Hey, yeah, what up, what up, what up? How y'all feeling today, man? How y'all feeling? Got into it with my girl a little bit today, but you know, we got it straight, You know what I liked about our fight today? You know how you'll fight with your girl or your dude, and y'all not talking for a while, y'all avoiding each other, like right after the jump, it's, hey, no, my bad. Sorry, you know what? I was wrong. Love you too. Progress. I love you, baby. Now, first off, before I start this story, shout out to Cutco and Miss Nikki for holding it down in the comments. Now, I don't want it to seem like I was taking his side over y'all's or I was saying he was right and y'all was wrong. That's definitely not the case. I try to get something out of everything, even the negative shit, you know? Like I said, if bruh a hater, he already know he's a hater. But I'm gonna look for the good first until you show me different, you feel me? I value everybody's opinion. Y'all watch me, y'all follow me, y'all the reason I'm here. There was some things in the beginning y'all told me that I straightened up and it actually worked out. So hey, maybe he wrong, maybe he right, who knows? But we gonna stick to the script. So without further ado, let's get into it. I go by D-Jack, but you can call me D.
So I go extra hard on that hard flow. Call me D.
Now this story today is gonna be about a couple, young couple, just graduated high school at the peak of their life. And after they graduated, they were gonna have to go to different colleges. One in one state, one in another state. So this night, they wanted to celebrate. They wanted to have something to remember. The guy's name, Chase, and the woman's name is Charlie. And Charlie and Chase, they plan to go out to a club and out to eat after. Like, I was super late on the fact that Charlie is a unisex name. It's crazy. And these is two responsible people and a stickler for rules. Like, they were strict about their regimens, their schedule, their sleep, all of that. But they wanted to let loose tonight. They wanted to let everything go, let all the stress off their chest. So they called a friend that they went to school with named Leo. They asked him could he be their designated driver for the night. Don't want to be driving under the influence. So the responsible thing is to get somebody to drive or call an Uber. And at that time, they were saving all of their money. Even though they came from wealthy families, they were still taught the value of money. Now, Leo, he wasn't as well off as Charlie or Chase, but he wasn't poor either. Living in a 4-bedroom home with his mom, but his dad was locked up doing 20 to life as a predator. So that was something that always followed him through life, always followed him through school. Sometimes he got picked on. Sometimes people will call him that off the strength of his father's name. And Charlie and Chase, they befriended him. They saw he was having a hard time fitting in, making friends, so they kicked it with him. Now, everybody didn't treat Leo like this, but a lot of people did. But Charlie and Chase were the two people that really stuck to him like glue. So a lot of times when they went out, it was a trifecta. It was them three. So Leo, he agreed to do it. He agreed to go ahead and be their driver for the night. And they told him that he couldn't drink at all. He gonna pick us up from our houses, take us to our place, take us back home. He agreed. But he wasn't fully truthful about being sober that night. They started the night around 8 p.m. and they wanted to leave a little before 11 so they can still get some good enough rest for the next day. Like I said, stickler for the rules. Instead of going all the way home, it was a girl he knew in the area, so he just called her up, see if he can come by for a little, and she said cool. So Leo, he on his way, but on his way there, in the middle of the drive, he takes some pills. He arrives, and Charlie and Chase, they staggering in the car. They get in the car. Hey, how you doing? And they about to make their way home, which is a 45-minute drive to get there. So on this drive back home, Leo can feel his nod coming on. Taking the pills right before he picks them up, he didn't account for the fact that these pills would kick in before he get home. Coming up on a sharp turn, onto the main road before they get to their neighborhood, he jumps the curb. As he does this, Charlie jerks up, looking at Leo, tap him on the shoulder and asks him he okay. Chase, he's in the front passenger, still asleep. Leo glanced back at her, tell her he's fine, he good, you know, his bad. And Charlie looks at him. She looks at his eyes and she sees how glossy his eyes look. She sees how droopy his face looks, like he's under the influence. Feeling like something weird going on with Leo, she taps her boyfriend on the right shoulder because she's sitting behind him. He slides up a little bit, turns his head to the right because she's trying to whisper in his ear behind the headrest. And she told him she thinks Leo is high or drunk or something. Something's going on with him. And Chase being in the front seat with him, he can clearly see his face. He can clearly see if anything's going on with him. So he glanced over, look at Leo, and right at that moment, he catches Leo trying to catch his drool out of his mouth. He was just coming out of a nod and started drooling and tried to real fast so nobody would see it. But Chase caught it, and it pissed him off because he felt like he was jeopardizing their futures and their lives. If they get pulled over, you high or drunk, or if we crash, could lose our life, anything. And he started yelling at Leo, telling him to pull over, pull the fucking car over. Leo argues back. Come on, man, we're basically 5 minutes away from the house, bro. But Chase not hearing it. He tells him again, in a more aggressive tone,
pull the fucking car over, bro.
Leo slams on the brake in the middle of the road. They all sitting in the car, looking at each other. Chase, he's thinking to himself, he got to be on some type of downers. You know, he keep going into a nod. His eyes rolling in the back of his head.
Bro, what the hell did you take? We told you not tonight. You couldn't drink anything, bro.
I'm not drinking, bro. I'm not drinking, bro.
So what you doing? Matter of fact, come on. Come on, Charlie, let's go.
Chase looks back at Charlie, tell her, come on, let's go. Get your shit, let's go. Let's get up out the car. And Leo tells him we 4 or 5 blocks away from the house.
Good. That means we can walk the rest of the way.
Before they can actually get out the car, Leo starts apologizing. Sorry, my bad. I did take something. I took a 10 milligram oxy. It was one pill. I got a lot going on, a lot of stuff going on in my personal life. You know, start giving them this whole spiel. So they hearing him out. And he asks them, can he show him that he's good? Like, come on, give me a chance, you know? They looking at their friend, knowing he's already been through a lot. And they don't want to leave him alone. Ain't no telling where he gonna go after this. And Charlie even said she didn't like the street because this block didn't have a lot of street lights under it. Even though this is a good part of town, she still didn't feel safe. Now, against Chase's better judgment, he said, all right, cool. And they get back in the car and they ride the rest of the way, but he tells Leo to drive slow. Pace yourself. Now, Chase, he lived a block away from Charlie, which would mean he would get dropped off after Charlie. But Chase's parents wanted them both to come by because they had gifts for them. And they also wanted to do a little celebrating with them if they could handle it. So Chase's parents were expecting them. Now back at Chase's house, it's getting close to 11:30 and his parents is getting worried. They starting to worry about them. They know how they are, they know how responsible they are, and they know how punctual they are. They should be here by now. You know, they left the restaurant before 10 o'clock. They tried calling their phones first. Nobody's picking up. Chase's phone is dead, and Charlie's phone is ringing, but it's going to voicemail after it rings. Nobody's picking it up. So they opt out to call Charlie's parents. They call Charlie's parents, they pick up the phone, hey, what's going on? And they ask Charlie's mother, hey, have you talked to them? Have they come by there? Do you know anything? And as soon as she asks that question, she gets worried. Her heart drops. She immediately thinks the worst because both sets of parents know these kids. They know how they are. She says, no, I haven't heard anything. Nobody knows anything. And while they're on the phone talking, Charlie's dad goes up to the window because he sees a lot of lights blinking outside the window. Flicks it open. Look to see what's going on outside, and he see a bunch of police and ambulance lights outside. Hey, babe, look like somebody got in a car accident out here. It's really bad, too. I'm going to see if they need some help. His wife says, okay. He opens the front door, and before he can walk off the next step, he can see the car that their daughter had left in earlier, halfway wrapped around a tree. As soon as he sees this, he don't yell back to his wife. He bolts to the scene. His wife noticed him running away from the door, and she runs to the door and see what's going on, and she sees the same scene. She sees the same thing, the same car wrapped around a tree. Still being on the phone with Chase's parents, she tells him, like, look, you need to get over here now. The kids got in a car accident. The car is wrapped around a tree. They drop the phone. They're on their way. They don't waste no time. They in tears before they get there, hoping for the best. Now, 2 minutes later, Chase's parents pull up to the gruesome scene. And the first thing they see when they step out of the car is Leo's wrangled body in the middle of the road, seeing that he was thrown from the car because he did not have on a seatbelt. Because they've been out here for some time, they're trying to piece together what happened. But what really happened was Leo was actually doing pretty good on his way to the house. You know, he straightened himself out. He was good. He paced himself. But he started to nod again. But this time, it wasn't just a regular nod. You know, something was wrong. He was getting shortness of breath, convulsing. And Chase, he noticed that his turn was coming up to get to his house. He noticed this, but he also noticed that Leo was going too fast to actually make the turn. So when he noticed that they were going to pass it, he turns to Leo and say, hey, you about to... But he can see Leo slumped over to the side, head on the window, and he tries to grab the wheel, but he was too late. By the time he grabbed the wheel, they were already colliding with another car turning into their street also. Because before they turned, they're supposed to stop, but their car kept going. So as they collided, it pushed their car to the nearby tree, and on impact, Leo is out of the window. By the time both sets of parents are there on the scene, Chase and Charlie are already being taken into the ambulance. They come at the last minute and sees Charlie already in the ambulance pulling away. Now, as far as Chase and Charlie, they both were in critical condition, but not so bad that they would lose their life. A lot of broken bones, a lot of cuts from the glass, the airbag actually breaking Chase's nose because on impact, his face was already close to the dashboard. And by Charlie being in the back seat behind Chase, she got less of the force, but they both equally was banged up, but they were still able to talk to Charlie. And all she kept saying was, we didn't know Leo was high. Leo was high. She just kept on saying Leo was high. And after them knowing, they should have both got out the car and started walking, and we wouldn't even be in this situation. It's how they're thinking right now. But they're also thinking about Leo's mom, Leo's siblings, when they find this out. Now, recovery would be brutal. It would be stressful. It would be a lot to take on for these kids because they had their whole lives in front of them 1 minute and drastically change the next. They will have to start school either next semester or probably next school year. Now, when Chase and Charlie were up for talking a little bit more, they both got a visit from the police, from detectives. They come to talk to them about the accident, what did they know, what did they see, trying to put their ducks in a row. And they both said the same thing that Charlie said at the scene. We didn't know Leo was high. But adding more to the story that, hey, we didn't know he was high before he told us. You know, when he picked us up, he was already high. You know, ain't no way anything could happen off of one pill, right? But the detective told them both that no, Leo didn't just take 10 milligrams or whatever he said he took. After they did the autopsy, it was actually way more than 10 milligrams in his system. And it wasn't oxy, it was fentanyl. So either Leo thought he was getting oxy and got fentanyl, or he knew what he was getting. And by the time they got into the accident, he was going through an overdose right there in the driver's seat. So a lot of them thought he couldn't have known what he took. They don't think he would have took that much knowing it was fentanyl. So after the news, they devastated. It just took them back to the accident. They back in tears, they reliving it. And they feeling sorry for him, but they also glad that they're alive. And Chase, he just keep kicking himself saying, damn, I knew I should have got out of the car. Someone was telling him to get out the car. So months will go by and they're still in recovery. And of course, they have to take something for the pain. Now, they will be taking the same thing that their friend was taking that night of the accident, excluding the fentanyl. You know, this was straight from the pharmacy, from the doctor. And after a while, like a lot of people, like a lot of victims, they became used to the feeling. They became dependent on the drug. And they both would constantly tell themselves and tell each other, this is not going to be us. No, we're not going to do this. We're going to kick this. This is not us. We're just taking this because we're still in pain. It's what they keep telling themselves. It's been 5 months by now. They both are completely healed, but they say they're both still in pain. Charlie was the first one to come out and say, hey, she don't have to take the meds anymore. I'm good. A little here and there, a little tweaks here and there, but for the most part, she good. And she tries to put the bottle down. And after a day and a half, it was hell on earth for her. A feeling she never felt before. Feeling of withdrawing from opiates. Like a lot of people know, it's a different type of hell. So Charlie calls Chase, this is what I'm going through, these are my symptoms. I haven't taken my medicine in a day and a half, and this is how I'm feeling. I need my medicine. But she ended up flushing all of her medicine, saying she's going to go cold turkey. But she's never dealt with withdrawal. She's never experienced withdrawal to know exactly how it's going to make her feel. So hearing this, Chase, he rushes over to her house and bring her some of his medication and splits his bottle with her. And because Chase hasn't experienced it at all yet, it freaked him out. It spooked him. He didn't want to feel it. He didn't want to know what she was going through. So he made sure he kept taking his meds until he knew he was done. Now, it would get to a point when the doctor would start to lower their dose, trying to wean them off. And he would. They would lower their dose again. All of a sudden tell them that they don't need it no more. Told them, hey, you shouldn't be in pain anymore, which is correct. But the doctor also knows the dependency that comes with these pills. You know, you would think that a doctor would say, hey, let's get you on this, or let's put you in a program, something to avoid the upcoming trauma that they were just invited to. So after this, Charlie is panicking. Chase, he still hasn't felt the effects of withdrawal. Having only a little bit left, maybe a half a bottle each, they try to stretch it as much as they can for the rest of the month, but they would eventually run out. And having wealthy parents on both sides, it wasn't that hard for them to get money and go buy pills off of the street. And that's what they would do. And not too long after that, Charlie will fall into a real bad depression. Thinking about her life now, that she was on her way to college, wanted to have a good night out before, and now she's buying pills off the street because she was cut off by her doctor, just so she can stay sane and stay out of the painful withdrawals. So there was no going to school. There was no trying to find a job and, doing the regular routine that she was used to doing every single day. And Chase, for the most part, tried to keep up with everything he was still doing. Buying pills off the street, just as Charlie was, he ended up finding him a job to keep up with this pill habit. But like we all know, that habit will eventually catch up to you in some way, shape, or form. And it did. 6 more months down the line, Chase and Charlie has graduated to H. It being cheaper and stronger, why not? They had started burning bridges with family members, but most of all, their parents, the 4 people in their lives that supported them the most, making promises they weren't keeping, lying about what they're doing with the money that they're giving them, even got to the point where they would start to take things and sell them because they knew they couldn't ask for any more money. It will become a time where Charlie and Chase would get in a fight, a real bad fight. They was going through it real bad that whole week, and by the end of the week, they ended up breaking up. They ended up going their separate ways. And the fight was about Chase accusing Charlie of taking his bag of H. He had went to the bathroom, came back out. The bag wasn't there anymore. He just had left it right there on the bed. Now it's gone. And Charlie acts like she doesn't know what he's talking about. So after that, no more chasing Charlie. More time will go by. Their parents are worried sick. They're not talking no more. They are fully engulfed into this addiction. Nobody knows what Charlie is. Chase has now accepted the fact that he's going to have to go to rehab. They both were introduced to that option. Hey, go to rehab. Hey, go sit down with some groups. Hey, talk to somebody. And they felt like they were above that. They felt like, nah, we can do this. We've been doing this our whole lives. We've been going strong our whole lives. We've been responsible our whole lives. We can do this. We can kick this. But Chase, he finally bought the bullet and said this is what he's going to have to do. And the first person he talked to, he ended up telling her he felt robbed of his future. He felt robbed of everything he's accomplished in life by the people that was actually supposed to help him. He would work the program. He would keep working it. He would go out looking for Charlie, trying to get her into the program. He can't find her. It goes on a good 3 to 4 weeks, and he can't find Charlie nowhere. And he got word from a friend back in school that she had seen her in a place that they don't ever go. And that was the urban side of town, the hood part, the street part of town. And the person that told Chase this, one of her old best friends from school, that she doesn't talk to anymore, and said that when she seen her, she didn't even recognize her. The only reason that she knew it was Charlie is because Charlie said her name and said, hey, I'm Charlie, such and such, and asked her for money. She cried right then and there, giving Charlie whatever she had on her, and walking away, getting in the car, going home, calling Chase on the way. So he makes his way down there looking for Charlie in one of the worst neighborhoods in the city. But he still loves Charlie. And he knows that the only reason they're not talking is because of this addiction that they're going through right now. With a lot of searching, within an hour, he finds Charlie walking down the sidewalk, and he couldn't even recognize her. If he didn't know he was looking for her, he probably wouldn't have recognized it was her. She's a lot smaller. Her skin looks a lot different. And come to find out, the guy that she's been going to has been selling her strictly fentanyl. So he gets out the car, trying to drag her back in the car with him. She don't want to go, cussing him out. They fighting, she's scratching and pulling and pushing. He eventually gets her in the car and calls her parents and let them know that, hey, I got Charlie. They all rush to the destination, the inpatient program. And when they pull up, everybody's there. They're waiting on Charlie. They see Charlie get out the car and they devastated. Heart drop. Like, I can't believe it. This is my daughter. They're like, who is she right now? They barely can recognize her. And they just walk over, hugging her, crying, trying to get her back into her senses. And she takes a look at Chase, not really looking at him when he came to get her. You know, she just wanted to get away. But when she really looked at him and saw how better he was looking, all she could do is cry. And she said she was going to do it. She's going to work the program. And right then and there, they walked in. They signed her up. And it was up in the air mostly because Charlie was a little different than Chase. They were both responsible. But if you had to pick one out of the two, Charlie would be the one to mostly rebel. A week into the program, Charlie ends up going missing again. She leaves the program. And this time, they can't find her. A month go by, they can't find her. 2 months, they can't find her. A half a year, they have not found Charlie. Going on the 7th month, Chase gets a call from the same girl that called him the first time saying she seen Charlie. And she called him letting him know Charlie is being rushed into the ambulance on their way to the hospital. So Chase asks her what's the closest hospital to your area. She tell him and he rush over. Still got a huge amount of love for Charlie. He gets to the hospital, tell him who he there for. They don't have nobody in with that name because when Charlie came in, she didn't have ID, she didn't have identification, nothing. So when he describes who he looking for and what she may be in here for.
Oh, nobody told you. Tell me what? She didn't make it.
That they got there too late with the Narcan. If they were there at least maybe a minute before, she would have survived. But they did all they could. I think deep down, Chase knew he would hear this news sooner or later. He just didn't know when. So the feeling was mixed. It was more so, I saw it coming, but I can't believe it happened. So he got to break the news to her parents, broke the news to his parents. They had the funeral. And after Charlie's death, Chase, he wanted to do a lot of soul searching. He really wanted to go to the source of why all of this happened, which was Leo. Wanted to know why he got into what he was doing and what made him start doing it. He paid a visit to his mother. He sat down with her and he didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't cut corners. He really asked her the question like, do you really know why Leo got into drugs? Do you know why he started taking drugs? And she told him straight up. She knew exactly why Leo started taking drugs. And it was his father. Chase was taken aback a bit. Looked at his mother, his father's in jail. Knowing where his father's charges are, he put it together right then and there. His father molested him as a child. His father was molesting him since he was 6 years old. 6 years old, man. That boy living with that. Chase didn't have much words after that. It's not much more he can say. But he understood it a lot more now. And he wished he knew. Because now he feel like he could have helped his friend a lot more. He was already being a good friend, a good soul, just by bringing him into his world because he saw that people was picking on him and him not fitting in. Now he lost 2 good people. But all he can do is honor them by moving on and doing better in his life for them. And Chase, he takes that experience and uses it as motivation to get his life back on track. He ends up still going to college, graduating college. And he did it in the name of his girl, Charlie. And Chase is now married with a family. This story is based on a true story, but I would not release the names out of respect for the families and respect for the dead. And the only message I want to leave with y'all is this, man. Be careful of the choices y'all make out here. Life is so fucking precious, man. My bad, hold on. Life is so precious. You know, I didn't understand how precious it was until life was important enough to me to see that, if that makes sense. Addiction destroys a lot of people every year. Every state, every city, neighborhood, country. Did back then, is doing it now, and it's going to keep happening. All I can say is rest in peace to Charlie, rest in peace to Leo, and everybody else who's lost their life to drug addiction. And the people who still fighting today, it's time to go to war. You've been fighting too long. It's time to go to war. Take that next step, man. That's all I got. Y'all stay safe, y'all stay positive, y'all stay sober. If you ain't moving, you losing. And we out.
Hustler talk, no comment though, just paper chase. Chasing my dreams, my nightmares ain't got no money. Just a cardboard sign and they existing so bummy. And they want me down with them at the bottom of the barrel.